Hello friends and welcome. I hope everybody's doing good. Okay, so this is one of the two Graveleys that I just bought, and I looked over the serial number. So it's a 1965 Graveley Model L, still owned by the Studebaker Packard Company. I don't know when they sold it off to whoever they sold it off from there. Problem with this one is right now, I think I mentioned it all in the update when I updated getting the two Graveleys. The magneto was taken off, so was the spacer, and the coupler was taken off too, and then the carburetor was taken off, and I have a rebuild kit for the carburetor. I don't know if this thing had this problem in the first place, but I find it has no compression. So I'm thinking that the exhaust valve might be stuck open. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to attempt to pull the head off it and see what's going on. And I'm hoping the head bolts come out pretty decently. We'll see what happens with it. And hopefully it's just a stuck valve. I sprayed what I could with some WD-40, but I have to get the heat shield off first thing. So we're going to do that right now. Or try to anyway. Yeah, it is going to be a pain right from the start, I think. Always on the exhaust side, it's a problem. I should take the spark plug out, but I didn't. I'm not going to waste too much time here with trying to get the bolts out. Maybe if I give it a little tap with this, we can jar some of the... You can do it with an air gun too, you know. But I'm always afraid of breaking these bolts because they're only 5/16 bolts. And then you hate to use a torch on them too. If I could just get it to move some would be good. I don't know if that's going to happen though. The exhaust side's the hardest part of the engine. That's why it's always a problem. I just moved on to you. I don't have much PB blaster left. I think we used it all up on taking some stuck bolts out of one of the tractors. If I get the bolt just to move some to come out, I could spray some PB blaster in there and let it run down into the dredge. There goes one, somewhat. And then what you want to do is once you loosen the bolt, work it back and forth. Now you can spray a little more PB blaster down in there. If you don't have patience like me, you would let it sit down there for a while before you continue. I don't seem to have much patience. Just go a little bit at a time. The exhaust side, bolts are easy to take out of. I had to get a container so I could throw the bolts and spacers and everything in there. Alright, I'm just going to take the rest of this off here. What you do is you have the bolt and then you have spacers to hold the shield up. Now, I'll go get a container. I think we're going to lose the spark plug to pull the plug out. I don't know what year the Model L8, the second one we bought, I don't know what year that is yet. Alright, so I'm going to shut the camera off right now. And if I run into any more trouble, I'll show you how to get the rusted bolts out some more. I had 4 bolts that were really hard to get out, but I got them out. And this is what one of the worst ones look like here. If you're not in the right state of mind, I'll tell you right now, don't bother doing this. If you feel like you're cursing your head off and you're about to lose your mind, don't do it. I think it took me about 40 minutes or so of having patience. I was hitting the bolt with the half inch extension with the hammer. I had to keep doing that, try to loosen it, and kept spraying the top of the bolt with a PB blaster. Then I got it to move. Then I sprayed some more PB blaster, so we'll get into the threads. I think it was this 1961 Gravely. I have a video on removing stuck head bolts because I didn't go too crazy on video doing this one because I already made a video like that, and probably most of you that watch my channel have seen that. So let me pull the head off and let's see if it has a stuck valve. Oh, by the way, the spark plug, it was only in like a couple of threads. So what I did was I tightened up the spark plug and it still had no compression. So it wasn't because of the spark plug being loose. Always use new bolts when you go to reassemble it, and use anti-seize to. I'm going to clean the bolts real good on my bench wire wheel. I'll clean the bolts real good, but I will use anti-seize. And I don't want to go too crazy with this tractor because I don't know what's up with it. We still have to put the magneto and everything back on it. And I think I just borrowed the the valves. I think the valves closed. Oh my goodness, this thing looks like horrible. Oh, the head gasket. It was all cruddy and everything. I don't know if the head gasket's blown, I don't know. Yeah, this has got all kinds of carbon. Let me blow this thing off here and I'll get back to you. We'll crank it over and see if the valves are going up and down. The valves are closed, so let's see. Maybe there's something else wrong with it. Well, you know, it's possible from me hitting the bolts, you know, tapping on the bolts, and I was hitting them pretty hard too. It could have loosened the exhaust valve and made it close. I'm not sure. But in the meantime, I have the valve open, and I sprayed some PB Blaster down the valve stem into the valve guide there. And I'm just going to take it, I'm going to clean the top off real good. I can always borrow the head gasket off my father's tractor, but I'm going to try to put it together with the old head gasket. I'll clean up the bolts, and let's see what happens with it. I can't shake the piston or anything in the cylinder, but that doesn't really mean nothing. Everything's working. The piston's going up and down, and both valves are going up and down. So I'm going to open up the intake valve and spray that one too. But like I said in the beginning of the video, it's mostly always the exhaust valve stuck. Okay, when you clean the top end, make sure it's at top dead center. This way the piston's all the way up and the valves are closed. I cleaned the gasket. It's got a metal gasket. The gasket's in very good condition. I cleaned both sides of the gasket. Got all the carbon and right off the top there, as you saw. And I cleaned the top of the head here really good. Should replace the bolts. I'm not sure if these bolts are going to snap. I do have some other bolts that are in pretty good condition, but I'm not going to tighten the head down as I normally do. You should always torque the bolts. I don't. I think they're 20 pounds. You torque them at. So what I'm going to do is, what I did was, while it's the top dead center, I put the coupler on for the magneto here. I don't know why it got taken off, but you would loosen this bolt to adjust the timing. But with the bolt facing the way it is right now, I know that the engine's the top dead center. I don't know if it's going to have compression, but we'll soon find out. So let me put this back together and we'll go back over everything. Well, I forgot to moisten up the cylinder with oil. But let's see if it's got any compression now after that. Feels a little bit better. Yeah, right there. Yeah, and that bolt is sticking straight up here. So probably when we were hitting the bolts to try to jar them a little bit, the valve might have just closed then. So what I'll do is I think I'll take the carburetor we took off my father's because we stripped the engine down. I'll put that carburetor on here. He said the magneto that he gave me had spark, but we don't know that yet. I might just take the distributor cap off that and clean the points and make sure they're adjusted right before we go through the trouble of putting them on. But doesn't have the best compression in the world, but don't forget this thing hasn't ran in who knows how long. And with all that oil we saw up on the top end, this engine's probably pretty much had it. Whether it has bad rings, which probably that's what it is. Yeah, it's doing a little more than it was doing before. He was nice enough to stick this paper towel up in the intake manifold, or yeah, the intake manifold there. So that was a good idea he had. Okay, so what I'll do right now is I'll show you the tag on the shroud here, the serial number tag. What did I came up, I forgot already. I came up with it being a 1965, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I said. One of you guys could correct me if I'm wrong. I'll see how long this video is, and then we'll go ahead and I'll show you how to put the magneto on from scratch. Sorry for doing it this way, but I put my glasses on. There's a tag here. You can see it's a division of Studebaker and Packard Company. Now, I had a 1961 Gravely that I sold. That was on one of my first videos when we test drove it. That's when I was just goofing around with YouTube. And that was a Studebaker Packard. So, I don't know, they took it over somewhere in 1961. I had the other 61 Gravely, but it doesn't say that. So maybe they took it over in late 1961. Like I said, some of you Gravely guys might know all that. But okay, so the distributor cap was loose, but I unscrewed all the screws, took the cap off. I checked the point gap. It was like 16 or 17. It's fine. And I just took some sandpaper and just ran it through the points. And you know, the guy told me the magneto worked, but I don't know how long this thing sat, and you guys know how these magnetos are with the points. So I just figured before I go through the trouble of putting it on to clean the points. Okay, so here you have a straight line here, and there's a straight line up here. Okay, what Gravely in the shop manual wants you to do is pull the head off it, bring it to top dead center, and then turn the flywheel counterclockwise to bring the piston down to, I think it's 5/16. I never do it that way, so I don't remember. But if you bring on compression stroke, you bring the piston all the way to the top. All you have to do is line this straight mark up, and there's 2 dots right here. I marked it off because my eyes are really bad. And then have the piston all the way up to top dead center as high as it will go, and then line this straight line up like I said with the 2 dots, and then your timing. I never had a problem with the timing. It always came out pretty much perfect. Alright, so I took the wheel off. This has those bigger tires on it, so it's easier to do. And plus, so you can see what's going on. And I think you can see what's going on pretty much here. I think you can. It's good. This is hard to record here. Alright, so since the guy took the coupler off, where you have to loosen the bolt to adjust the timing, he had this off, so we're going to have to adjust the timing. I just brought the coupler to where the bolt head, you can get access to it, so we know that it's around where it should be. Now you just gotta take your two bolts. There's two bolts that face up. Yeah, this makes it so much easier with the wheel off to do it. I usually don't do it this way, but in the meantime, I put my father's carburetor on. I took the fuel line with the filter on it. I took it off and put it on this one. It doesn't have a fuel shut off, the bolts under the tank, but that's not a big deal. So okay, so I'm going to make sure everything is set right with the piston. And then I'm going to line up the mark with the two dots like I told you. And we'll tighten it up. And I think we're pretty much ready to start this up. I have the spark plug out because I stuck a screwdriver in there to see where the top of the piston will be. Okay, so to tighten up the bolts on the magneto, there's two of them. What I use is the shallow 1/4 inch ratchet with a shallow 9/16 socket. On the older ones you could do both bolts with it, but even on this newer one I had to use a box wrench to do the rear bolt that holds the magneto on. Alright, so first mishap, I thought I tightened up the coupler good. So I just wanted to pull it over to make sure it was at top dead center and everything, and check the timing again. Well, when it got to pulse, it puts like a strain and it slipped, and I didn't have the coupler tight enough, so I had to tighten that up. The carburetor I used from my father's, I had to use a rubber band. I had to use a rubber band so it goes back to idle, and then I just turned the idle screw up as far as I could, so we're not going to get much throttle out of it if it starts. I put gas in it, seems to be holding gas okay. I guess we're going to try to start it up and see if we can get it to run. It's down to about, I don't know, 3/4 quart of oil. It's enough to run it. I don't want to put anything into this until we know it's okay, if it's okay. Alright, let's see if we can get it to do anything at all. Hopefully I got the timing set okay. I think we'll try it on show first. Yeah, it almost wants to go. I don't know if we got enough throttle. I don't know if it's got enough throttle. Almost want the starter rather. really surprised at that second pull. I had to run it really too fast. Do we dare take it for a ride? Yeah, why not? After running it, it should have more compression, but started right up. Tires make it go faster, it seems. I wasn't sure how that worked. I always forgot. It's pretty fast. For a gradient, Model L. I'm super happy with this. I guess it was worth taking it 3 or 4 hours to get it to run, because that's what it took. I don't see it smoking out the exhaust or anything yet. Oh, I'm impressed with it. I'm happy. I have another oil pressure gauge. I noticed that the guy has there's oil and penetrating oil and stuff we used. The I don't know if they're glass or plastic. The cover on the oil pressure gauge, he's got a piece of plastic over it, but the needle was all the way up. Is it stuck all the way up? Yeah, it's stuck all the way up. I have another gauge for it. I was just happy to see the gauge went up, because it was on 0 before and the gauge went up on it. So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy. I love these tires. Yeah, so it does make the tractor go faster. Let's see, I don't know the year of the L8 yet. I'll let you know soon. I want to change the oil in the filter. We're going to test that with the I had to check the blade on the mowing deck. I didn't do anything else to it except for what we did on the Gravely Tractors update video. I just had to do something with the throttle, and we adjusted the carburetor on it. I have a cast iron carburetor. melted, I'm wondering if I should use the cast iron carburetor on my father's 56 Gravely. I don't know, there's a lot to decide right now. I just want to make sure this thing ran, and surprisingly enough it ran, and it runs good. And I hope you got something out of the video. I tried to explain the magneto the best I could on here, how I do it. Yeah, what if, remember the bolts were so hard to get out of the head? Now what if you wanted to go set the time now? You gotta go through all that trouble to unbolt the head, to get the head off, to bring the piston to top dead center, and then back it down 5/16 or whatever the number is. My way that I do it, tractors always run perfect after I'm done. You know who taught me that trick was the guy that used to own the Gravely Tractor Agency over on Route 9 in Freehold here. He taught me a lot of stuff. He taught me a lot of tricks. You know, so ever since he told me that. Yeah, because I went to buy a head gasket then. I think the head gaskets were like $5 a piece, not 30 like they are now. He said, well, you got blown head gasket. I go, no, I want to set the timing, make sure the timing was set right, pull the head in. Nah, forget about all that. And then he told me how to do it quick, you know. He even printed out a shop manual, which I still use. He's a really good guy. Mike was his name. So I'm happy with this. I took the air filter off because I thought I was going to record going in that way, but we ended up coming in the other way to show you how I did that. This hose here, he gave me a hose, but I think it was a carburetor with the inlet that comes out this way. So I don't have a hose for this. I got the radiator hose that you can use because they want like $70-80 for these hoses. If you get the radiator hose, I think it's $30 or $25 or something like that. Last time I looked. So, alright, so that's going to be it for this video. We're not doing much more to this. We might test it out. I don't have a throttle set up or anything for it. It'll probably, yeah, we'll come back with this tractor. Either way, I'm not getting rid of these tires. I'll tell you that right now. So, I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope you got something out of it. I know I did. It's worth spending the 4 hours to do what we did. To give it a chance. Always give it a chance, you know. And, thanks for watching. I hope to see you all on the next one. And take care.